Hello and welcome to the HP Video Game Podcast, your weekly video game podcast for everything video game related. I just said video games many, many times. I am your stand-in host for this evening and master of ceremonies, Dave. Thank you for joining us. Joining me tonight is a beautiful boy. Normally there's two beautiful boys, three in total if you count the regular host. But tonight we've just got one beautiful boy along with the stand-in host. So hello, Brandon. How are you this evening?
Hello, David. You are a beautiful boy as well. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty fucking good. I had a lovely dinner with friend of the show, OG Dustin Furman, and our buddy Matt. And then we went to get coffee, and then I went to the plant store and I bought a new hanging basket. So I'm feeling right as rain. I feel rejuvenated. I had a delicious gyro tonight, but I'm feeling good about it. I don't know. I'm just in high spirits today. Just in very high spirits.
You sound good. You look good. You know, there's such thing as the gyro or the gyro glow, and
gyro glow.
It's something about after you consume that sort of Greek food, that sort of Mediterranean food, that you just have a garlicky glow about you, and I can smell it coming through the screen.
I bet it stinks nice and good. And no, not even just the food, just good company, feeling good, man. Back to work here. I've had a good stint of a little bit of work and a lot of play, and now I'm back to the bullshit. Now I'm back on my bullshit. So I got a lot of shit in front of me, but you know, the bills don't pay themselves, as they say, David. But other than that, I'm great.
That's true. And it sounds like you've had a nice balanced time off. You did quite a bit of streaming the last couple of weeks.
Yes, sir.
Sounds like you hung out with some friends. It's nice when you have a little bit of time off work and you can go back and you felt like you've accomplished some things, you've done some relaxing, you've done some gaming, and it sounds like you've kind of satisfied all those needs for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Back to the grind. I tend to like take care of myself more when I'm at work because I have less options to abuse my body. But I've been doing a lot of drinking this week off, less than I have, and I know that's like a common thing. Like, you know, I love drinking beer, right? That's no secret of the show. Very prominent that I enjoy drinking beer. But this week especially, I kind of leaned into that, and we had one hell of a time. But local legend, Icy Light Mango. Do you know of the Icy Light Mango?
Icy as in like the slushy you get from like a slush puppy?
No, Iron City.
No. Enlighten me, please.
Iron City is the brewery, Pittsburgh. So there's Iron City Light, and then there's Icy Light Mango. And I'm not much for like the super fruity beers, but it's a nice balance, and it's very refreshing. 3.8% ABV. One of those ones you can just drink all day.
Damn. So is that like a session juicy IPA?
It's a light beer through and through. It's definitely not. It doesn't have any stank to it. It's just crispy, a little tiny bit fruity. It's not like punch you in the face fruity. I don't like those ones. I like the ones that are beer first, and then with a little bit of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, we enjoyed quite a few Icy Light Mangoes this weekend.
Good. Man.
And it used to be a seasonal thing, but it was so popular that they just brew it all year long. So
cool. Well, I'm sipping on a blonde tonight. This is from Amsterdam Brewery here in Toronto, Ontario. Ooh. And this is a 568 milliliter can. So this is a taller than normal can.
The tall boy, the extra tall boy.
Yeah. Jesus. It's a good one. It's as you said, it's just a beer. It's simple, nothing hoppy, nothing crazy. And yeah, so I'll drink to that.
Drink to me. Blondes are my weakness after all, so I might have to give that a go at some point.
I've heard that about you.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a thing with me. There's a history there. But yeah, we're good, Dave. How you been, buddy?
Good. I got an interesting story to tell you, but I'll kind of start with a question. Have you, in your adult life, ever almost gotten your ass kicked in public by another adult?
I've had some very heated altercations, but never fear for life and limb.
Right.
Tell me about it, Dave.
So I had a moment. So last week, it was Thursday, so the day after we recorded the show, I was driving through a plaza and I'm driving in a straight line, and there's a car in front of me, and this dude in a white truck is just ripping around the parking lot, like to a point where the car in front of me stomped on his brakes suddenly because I think he thought this guy was going to T-bone him. We've all seen people like this that just they rip around parking lots like
Of
the
course.
NASCAR track or
Of
something.
course, yeah.
So as this guy, no, it wasn't in Brampton Raddick, believe it or not. Yeah, Brampton's a really crazy place to drive. It was near Grimsby. It was a guy in a pickup truck though. So read into that what you will. So as the guy is turning past me, and I am not victimizing myself or anything. I'm not understating what I did. I'm going to tell you exactly what I did. As he's driving by me, I did you got your hand on the steering wheel and you just kind of do this,
Yeah.
You just
Yeah,
kinda,
no. I love that. I love
it's
that.
the visual, like, what the fuck you doing, man? That's all I did. Okay. Just like that. Well, this guy lost his fucking mind. So as he's driving by me, I do this, and I saw him like lock eyes with me, and at that moment I knew I motioned to the wrong person apparently. So as he's driving by me, he slammed on his brakes. He throws his middle finger out the window, and he's honking his horn, literally all because all I did was just go like this. So he leaves the plaza, and I'm kind of watching him in my rearview mirror, and then all of a sudden I see him go to turn back into the plaza. So it's at this moment, Brandon, where I realized that I have a fucking lunatic on my hands.
Oh, buddy.
So instead of parking my car, I just kind of keep driving because I knew I didn't want to get out of my car. I didn't want to stop or anything. So I just kind of kept slowly driving. And sure enough, I saw him like wheel back into the parking lot, and he drove all the way across, and he blocked me. And this is all.
Were you alone? I'm sorry. Were you alone?
Okay. Yeah, I was alone. I have a dash cam, but this all happened over the course of like 20 seconds. So as I see him come back into the parking lot, I know he's coming right for me. So I had to think fast. And if you remember back to the beginning of the story, Brandon, I told you that he was driving so fast that the car in front of me slammed on his brakes. So I already had my alibi. So sure enough, guy pulls in front of me, rolls down his window, and I don't remember what he said, but he was screaming at me again, all because I just kind of did this motion.
Lifted your hand up like, what are you doing? You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah. So, and he's blocking me at this point, and he's freaking out, and I kind of pointed to like in front of my car, and he's still losing it. So finally I leaned out the window. I said, it was the guy in front of me, as in I'm saying that's what I was reacting to. It wasn't you. And the guy goes, oh, okay. And then he just drives off.
Wow. Quick thinking, Dave. Quick thinking.
I'm proud of myself, but I guess the lesson I learned is like the smallest thing. If you're dealing with a psychopath in their car, like that's where road rage happens, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
any emotion, anything like that, like it's not going to make a difference. Let the lunatic drive away. Whew. So I didn't get my ass kicked, but if I had engaged with this guy, I feel like he's the kind of person who probably would have gotten out of the car. Maybe he had a weapon with him, maybe not.
Sounds like an American.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But see, you don't do that in the States because they very well could have a firearm.
Well, that's the thing I was going to say is that's the advantage we have here, especially where I live, or if you drive down to like places like Florida, is those things only get so far.
Right.
Because there is a very real and very absolute and deadly possibility that that person has a gun. So you can only push your luck so much. Damn, dude, my heart would have been pumping. My heart would have been absolutely pumping.
I saw pretty quick what was happening, and I knew what was going to happen. So I did think fast, and the guy believed me, and it was a reasonable alibi. Like the guy literally he didn't brake check me, but he broke suddenly enough because of how crazy he was driving that it checked out, and literally the guy was just like, oh, okay, and he took off. So
damn, bro.
Yeah.
Unstable. My favorite new rage bait tactic is when somebody does flip me off, I just give them the thumbs up instead. They don't seem to like that because it completely takes all of the wind out of their sails because they want you to be angry. They are so furious like that they've now given you a physical gesture, and when you give them just one of these, it completely deflates them. I did it once, and like he seemed like fine. He was in front of me, and he flicked me off when I was behind him. It was probably my fault. And that's fine.
But that's the PSA here. That's the lesson is when you're in those circumstances with somebody who doesn't see a reason, they want you on their level. And if you,
of course,
if you stay composed, if you stay kind of maintain your composure, then you're going to be good. That person's just going to walk away. So.
Yeah, bro. That's God damn, Dave.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're safe, sound, and you might have made a friend that day. He
Yeah,
might he
maybe.
might feel bad. Maybe he's talking about it on his podcast.
Yeah,
He's like,
probably has a
I got
buck
so mad at
hunting
this
podcast or
guy.
something.
I got
Yeah,
so mad at this guy
yeah,
on the Big Dudes Truck podcast.
yeah.
Um,
But speaking of me being here and you being here, there's somebody who isn't here, which is Ben. He's okay. He's not here. I'm not sure. I think he's in Philadelphia or Cameroon or something like that. It doesn't matter. But I think he'll be back next week because the Air Canada strike ended. So hopefully he'll be able to get back in time. But
we'll
I'm sure
see.
he'll tell us about that next week.
We will see. Check out the Discord, handsomephantom.com/Discord.
There you go. And
Uh,
that's a nice little segue into a little bit of housekeeping we like to do. We have a Discord where we like to talk about video games with our listeners and our viewers and a whole bunch of other handsome people that we love to hang out with. What did we talk about this week? A lot of Gamescom talk. People are excited about Borderlands. People are not excited about Borderlands. All kind of good stuff in there. So if you're listening or watching and you're not in our Discord, you should come hang out because it's nice. It's a small Discord, so it's not one of those ones where like you can't keep up with the chat. It's it's nice and controlled. It's engaging in that way. So it's good. You can also support us for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/handsomephantom. We have bills around here, believe it or not. This ain't free, so yeah, we loved your support. You don't have to, but if you do, you get ad-free and early access to the audio version of this show every week. But you can also listen for free on free feeds anywhere you get podcasts or by joining us live on youtube.com/handsomephantom or youtube.com/Ben is handsome. We are live every Wednesday night at 7:00 ish Eastern time. So wherever you're joining us, thank you. How about we talk about some video games, Brandon?
I'm ready, bro. I'm so ready.
As the name of this podcast suggests, Gamescom was this week. In fact, opening night live was last night. We had hoped to be joined by our German correspondent, Herr Ben Schmidt, but unfortunately, his long distance prepaid calling card was stolen at the Borderlands 4 booth because he was there for so long and so into what he was seeing. So he will not be joining us tonight live on the floor, but maybe another time. So everything announced at opening night live, Gamescom. I'm just reading this off Eurogamer.net. I think I'll just kind of quickly go through everything in the article because there's not a ton. We got a new reveal trailer for Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Lords of the Fallen 2 gets a reveal trailer. Sekiro Shadows Dies Twice is getting an anime. Lego Batman returns with Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. Dawn of War 4 was announced and it gets a cinematic trailer. Monster Hunter Wilds is getting a Final Fantasy 14 crossover and vice versa. We got some new gameplay for Onimusha Way of the Sword. Daemon Ek Machina Titanic Scion gets a free Switch 2 demo. We had some footage of the new Fallout Season 2 that's coming to Amazon Prime. Indiana Jones is in the Great Circle is coming to the Switch 2. What else we got here? Just kind of going through quickly. Ninja Gaiden 4 gets a story trailer. Silent Hill F gets another brand new trailer. Moonlighter 2 gets an early access date. Outer Worlds 2, we got a companion trailer. And Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, and so on and so on. Brandon, I know you didn't watch it live, but I think you had a chance to kind of see some of the stuff that was revealed. Is there anything that jumped out at you? Gamescom is interesting because it's not Summer Games Fest. It's not E3 of old, but it is a nice, I don't want to call it a little show, but we generally get some pretty cool stuff. Anything jump out at you from Gamescom?
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple things that were kind of interesting. I feel like the things that weren't directly video games, but video game adjacent, actually kind of stole the show for me a little bit. I'm very excited about the Shadows Die Twice Sekiro anime, as well as the season 2 premiere of the Fallout. I was really big into the first season of that. But as far as video games go, oddly enough, the Batman game looks pretty good. It's almost as if the team at Lego were like, we can make another Arkham game and we don't have to muck around it. I mean, it reminded me of like Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum so much. Even like the combat or like the flying around. It's kind of open world. It's not going to be a 1-to-1, obviously, but I've always had a lot of enjoyment playing Lego games. And I don't know if it was just the way they set up the trailer or what, but this was kind of surprising for me. Not something that I ever thought I would be interested in. And I'm not like salivating for it, right? But I thought for what it is, it looked pretty fucking good. Usually I don't even blink an eye at Lego games anymore because they're a dime a dozen. But whether it be the marketing or what they showed off that's actually going to be in the game, I thought it looked pretty cool, to be honest with you. And that was more surprising to me than anything in the show, really. I want to kind of do a little bit of a. It wasn't surprising to me, but it was bad. The Call of Duty 7, Black Ops 7. Um, Clearly, they're still going with the zany, wacky, ridiculous. I think we might have talked about this, how they've kind of lost their identity. And clearly, they're still leaning into that. It looks as if we're going to be wackier than ever with the traditional Black Ops mind game, ridiculous LSD trip type of campaign, it looks like again, as well as a non grounded focus as far as wall jumping and kind of back to that song and jazz. So I don't know, man. That kind of, I was already not very hot on it. I think I've kind of mentioned that. And we've talked about the direction they're going, but to actually see it as another thing altogether, this kind of cemented to me that I'm not really interested. If the boys want to try it for a weekend, I'll sign up for 3 days of Game Pass to try it, but I'm just not, I'm not interested at all. Um, and not to kind of go over the whole show, but one last thing is Lords of the Fallen 1, I think, had a lot of really, really good ideas. I thought the game, as it progressed from launch, had a little bit of technical troubles. I played it on PS5. And from my understanding, the 2.0 update and moving forward with the game was really good. And I thought it was pretty good from the beginning. But to hear that they're coming out with another iteration makes me happy because I feel like they had a lot of good stuff in the first one. So, what about you, Dave?
Sorry, before I get into my stuff, Lords of the Fallen. It was kind of like a light Souls like.
Yeah, so way back, this would have been like 360, I think. They did a more direct Souls like that just felt kind of clunky. The gameplay was really bad, but some people liked it. It was before the whole like everything is Souls like kicked in, and there was only a couple of them around. And I would say maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I don't remember when the last one came out, but they rebooted it on Unreal Engine 5. It looked really good. It had some performance issues. As we know, Unreal Engine 5 games seem to be marred with performance issues. But at the time, I really liked it. And for reasons outside of video games altogether, I kind of stopped playing it for personal reasons. But I liked it, and I kind of wished I would have finished it. So to hear that they're coming with something fresh, I'm interested in that because I thought what they had was good. They kind of missed the mark on some things, but I thought they had a winning formula going forward. So if they can kind of build upon that, I liked what they were doing. So I'm definitely interested.
Nice. I remember also always thinking of Darksiders when I saw anything Lords of the Fallen related, but I know it's a little bit different from that.
Right.
Yeah. So first thing right off the bat, Lego Batman. I'm right there with you. I've been kind of hankering for a Lego game and not just like jumping into one, but really sinking my teeth into one. And obviously the latest was the Skywalker saga. And I think if I was to jump into a Lego game, I'd be tempted to platinum it. And from what I understand, the Skywalker saga is like, it is crazy when it comes to the amount of collectibles and how like it takes over 100 hours to get the platinum. It's a Lego game.
So much shit in it. Like,
Yeah.
not in a bad way. The content in that game is crazy. There is so much.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see. I can't see them having that much content to draw on for a Lego Batman game, but I actually recently just rewatched the Dark Knight trilogy. So the timing of this is perfect. I don't know if it's supposed to line up directly with that set of films or if it's going to kind of cross over. There was one image where like the suit he was wearing looked like Robert Pattinson's bat on the front. So
well,
I
didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry,
No,
but I think that's the shtick of this is even though it has Dark Knight in the name, I think they're kind of molding
Process.
together a bunch
I
of
love that. That's
yeah,
so cool.
yeah,
Yeah. And I don't know. I think one of the kind of pieces that I saw from this is they're going to try and emulate the combat from the Arkham games,
I love
obviously
it.
in a much more light version, a Lego way, but
Sure.
I think that's super cool. So I wish this was coming sooner. I think it's 2026, sometime early in 2026. So this might be a fun way to start off the year. But yeah, this is probably the one I'm most looking forward to. Outer Worlds 2, obviously we've known about this game for a long time, but we got a companions trailer last night at opening night live, and obviously with the first Outer Worlds, the companions were such an integral part to what made that experience interesting. And just to kind of see the direction they're going with some of the companions for the sequel, it was really cool to see. And I remember like playing the first game, and Parvati, she's the first one that came to mind. And like you meet her and she's such like this innocent, almost airhead, but you start talking to her and you peel back the layers and you realize like how much depth your companions have. So I think seeing a trailer that was really just focused on the companions was really cool. I would have been fine with like a story trailer, but I like that they really kind of showcased what they know makes the game so special, which is the people you roll with in the game.
Right. And I did say earlier that Sucker Punch made Arkham. They don't. It's Rocksteady. My bad.
Right. Right.
Um, but yeah, another couple like obvious standouts that I didn't even want to mention because we already knew shit about them. Was Silent Hill F. Obviously continues to look awesome. I'm kind of gonna go dark on that. I think for now. I plan to play Silent Hill 2 hopefully before that comes out, although it's coming out pretty soon. And now that I've done this whole Resident Evil thing, I did watch the newest Resident Evil trailer with a little bit of gameplay in it. But I'm pretty sure I'm done as well. I'm sold. So
It's a good idea because the marketing for Resident Evil games tends to be pretty misleading anyways, so it's
right.
best to go in fresh. But yeah, and that was the third one I had on my list was Requiem. Um, I I had understood that they were going to evolve the franchise in a way that, Village very much felt like 7, like it was a direct sequel. And I believe that Requiem is supposed to be a step away from that in ways. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what that actually means. Apparently, you can play this game in third or first person.
Yep.
I think that was something that came post launch with Village. And I think the main character, she works for the CIA. She's a detective or something like that. So I wonder if this is going to be less about combat and gunplay and more about puzzle solving, detective work, putting cases together, things like that. But what I saw from the trailer is an interesting mix between horror and helplessness. And I think I'm with you. I kind of want to go dark as well. But yeah, this is another one that's coming out next year, and it's looking pretty good. I really do hope that they lean into the horror. Not that I had any issue with Village or 7, but I do think that there's a time and a place that could be good for that right now. So I'd like to see that, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gamescom opening night live. Anything else?
No, I mean honestly, obviously Ninja Gaiden 4 looks cool, but that's about it.
Cool. Well, we will then move on, and we're going to move on to some news about a pretty cool crossover coming to Helldivers 2. This comes from PlayStation Blog. Helldivers 2 Cross Halo ODST Legendary Warbond arrives August 26th. Helldivers' first Legendary Warbond drops with Halo ODST themed weapons, armor sets, patterns, and more. The Galactic War rages on. Countless Helldivers have laid down their lives to protect managed democracy. The call was put out for more recruits, and it's been answered. Introducing the Legendary Warbond Helldivers 2 Cross Halo ODST. Enter the Obedient Democracy Support Troopers. I didn't even know that they changed that. So they changed ODST to Obedient Democracy Support Troopers. Perfect. AKA the Hell Jumpers. This new equipment set from the Ministry of Defense will give your Helldivers the look of the fabled unit every Super Earth citizen had on their school lunchbox as kids. jam-packed with iconic weaponry, armor, patterns, and more. Are you ready to jump in? Some of the stuff that's coming is the MA5C assault rifle. That's the one from, well, it's been at a bunch of games, but I
It's the
think it was
battle
in,
rifle.
yeah. The SOCOM pistol, the M90A shotgun, classic, M7S SMG. There's armor sets. There's it looks like 2 different armor sets that are coming to the game. A feet first passive, which makes less noise for movement, range when finding points of interest increased to 30%, and immune to leg injuries. That's huge.
Yeah,
And some new
cool.
capes. And one of the standouts for me, I believe, was in here, but I'm not seeing here. I swore I saw a warthog skin, but I'm going to have to kind of go and check if that. Oh, yeah, it is in there. So there's patterns that you can apply to the exosuit, the shuttle, that makes it look like a pelican. A themed hell pod, and of course you can get something that makes your vehicle look like a warthog.
Yeah. Cool, man.
Awesome crossover.
Yeah,
I
so
I
cool.
love when games do this, and I think this fits so well. Is this enough for you to jump back in?
I'm gonna go back on something I said again. It's not the battle rifle, it's just the assault rifle. The PR is different.
Right.
But dude, I love this. I love the recon armor set. It's an amazing iconic set, as well as the ODST set. I'm glad they didn't just do the Master Chief set. I like that it's ODST focused. It's kind of cool seeing the PlayStation logo on a trailer with the Halo thing in the in the screenshot. But yeah, I feel like this fits so well. And I don't think it will be enough to get me back in. I'm assuming because this is the first quote unquote legendary war bond, it like I haven't played in such a way that I'm gonna not be able to spend money on this. So who knows? I might jump in a time or two. It's fun to just go back. I put so much time into this game that I feel like I kind of got what I wanted to out of it. But I'd be happy to jump in a night or two just to kind of see what's going on, just to kind of check out the new missions, stuff like that. But I'm glad to see this game still going. And as much as we, kind of harp on crossover things and how silly things can be, like we just talked about last week about the American Dad and Call of Duty, this is like thematically makes sense. I
Big
feel
time,
like, you know what I
yeah.
mean? And that's the big difference is I don't want to speak for everyone on the podcast, but I feel like the silliness we were talking about is definitely not a factor here, and that kind of makes all the difference. You know what I mean? So
Agreed. Yeah, it just works, and I think the timing is perfect with the Xbox launch. I think Arrowhead's done an amazing job of dealing with a rocky launch, keeping the game supported, but kind of adding a lot of content in their first year of release and actual gameplay content. We got new factions, we got new weapons, we got new environments. So I think it's good that they're doing this at this point where more focusing on cool themed stuff, just skins in the game, just stuff to make you jump back in. So this is the sort of game that I want to check out every few months, and this is the perfect way to keep me coming back. And since we're on the topic of crossovers, this is kind of similar, but I think like a Gears of War crossover would be really cool too in the future.
that would be really cool.
Yeah, I'm not being super imaginative there, but I think that'd be cool. But I love these sorts of things. They're so fun. Moving on to the ROG Xbox Ally. Just bring it up here. This comes from CNET. The Republic of Gamer Xbox Ally release date, specs, price, and how it compares to the Steam Deck. Can Microsoft and Asus give Valve some handheld competition? The Steam Deck has yet to find a real competitor in the PC handheld gaming device battle. Other hardware companies, including Asus, Lenovo, and MSI, have tried, but so far their devices keep falling short. Asus plans to try to take another swipe at the crown, though this time with the help of Microsoft. In June, the two revealed their partnership for a new handheld device, the ROG Xbox Ally. This handheld will come in 2 variants and will attempt to bring the Xbox console experience to a portable device. Microsoft confirmed the release date for the Xbox Ally of October 16th, so not far away, just under 2 months, on Wednesday. But there's still some questions about the handheld. Will the Xbox Ally outdo the Steam Deck, or will it wind up being just another wannabe? How much will the Xbox Ally cost? Neither Microsoft nor Asus has confirmed an official price yet. One thing for sure is that the Xbox Ally won't be cheap. We don't normally talk about leaks on this show, but there have been some credible ones that have come out regarding the price. So we're going to get into them. Multiple leaks suggest the price will be €599 for the Xbox Ally and €899 for the higher end version, the Xbox Ally X. That does leave the question of what the price will be in the US. Most likely, the price will be the same just in dollars, as that is the typical practice for gaming hardware devices. Discount social media poster Wario64 tweeted Best Buy listings for the Xbox Ally, Xbox Ally X, charger dock, and case on Wednesday. There's no pricing on the site for the devices, just a button to be notified when pre-orders become available. However, Wario64 states the pricing on the back end shows the Xbox Ally at $550 and the Xbox Ally X at $900, while the charging dock is listed on the site $100 and a case for $70. Big money here.
Yeah.
It's not crazy. But what are your initial kind of reactions to those figures there, Brandon?
My initial reaction is it's kind of expensive. um, uh, I guess that's to be expected though. When you're kind of getting this all in one package, it doesn't seem out of the realm of what seems reasonable. But I just wonder how many people will be willing to spend $900 on a premium version. I think clearly the quote unquote budget version at 550 will be the one that sells the best if we know about how the Xbox Series S sells and how historically the lower tier of any generation will sell. That will clearly be the winner on top. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly not something for me personally. I've knocked around the idea of getting a Steam Deck, and I haven't necessarily wrote it off. Um, but at the same time, my library is so on Steam at this point that, you know, unless I would be willing to buy into the ecosystem and continuously pay for Game Pass, um, I don't really know the value of this sort of thing for me. Now, if you are somebody who wants to do something on the go and you have invested a lot of money in the Xbox ecosystem, I feel like this might be a reasonable trade-off if you have the dough. But um, at that rate, even if I didn't have either one, like let's say I didn't have an Xbox at all, and I was debating between, getting a Series X or even the Ally period, I don't think my first choice would ever be, unless I had a very specific reason to constantly be playing on mobile. The mobile aspect alone would not be enough to bring me into this sort of price tag. So
I think I'm with you there. I'm get into a little bit more of the direction I think Microsoft is trying to go with this. But looking just kind of at the handheld market itself, and again, the prices we talked about, they're reported, they've been leaked, but it's a pretty credible source. So let's take them as gospel for now. So the Steam Deck ranges, depending on which flavor you get, from $350 to $600. The Portal, which I don't know if this is a fair comparison, but
yeah, I don't think it is.
I'm going to put it in there. The Portal is $200. You do need a premium subscription to PS Plus to play it, but you're probably going to need a subscription to get the most out of the ROG Ally Xbox anyways. And the Switch 2 is $450. Again, can you compare the Portal and the Switch 2 in the same league as the ROG Ally? And I think Microsoft's strategy is to go after the Steam Decks and sort of the high-end mobile PC market. But in reality, I think your competition is still going to be those other two. And considering, consumers are simple creatures, we're going to look at those numbers. And I think coming in at that steep of a price tag it's risky. And I think Microsoft has tried to deal with the risk a little bit by going with a partner rather than building their own hardware from the ground up. And I think that's smart. But I just kind of wonder, is there enough of a compelling reason to buy this over a Steam Deck. That's going to give Microsoft a leg up. And I don't see it yet. I mean, we're gonna have to wait till it comes out. But we discussed it when it was first announced in earlier this summer. And as far as we can work out, it's a reskinned version of a piece of hardware that's already on the market. I don't know how it's selling. Probably not great. And it's got some bundled in software that's supposed to make it kind of like a Game Pass machine. So
Right.
I don't know. I'm with you. I'm a console gamer. My handheld gaming is on my Switch. Like I don't want to play console games, on a smaller screen, mobile. It's just not something for me. So it's not a buy for me, but I don't think that the price tag is enough for me to kind of be interested. But
Yeah.
I think overall, I don't have high hopes for this being a success, because it's just, why do you need this over a Steam Deck?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of where I'm at. Although I do want to give Microsoft a little bit of credit here, because I think that handheld gaming is way more popular than anyone in our direct ethos, like our very direct, me, you, Ben, our friends experience, especially worldwide. Like I remember, this is obviously anecdotal evidence, but like in Japan, Dustin was telling me there's like whole sections. You know how like PlayStation would have a section of Walmart, everything PlayStation would be right here, everything Xbox. There was like handheld sections. And now obviously that's Japan, right? So that's like one person went to one place in the world. But what I think is that we also, or maybe me personally, don't really have a full grasp on how popular potentially this sort of peripheral actually is.
Fair
So
enough.
I don't know that it's going to fail. But what I do know is I don't know that it makes a lot of sense for anyone I know to get it. And most people I know would get a Steam Deck and not this anyway. So
Yeah, I'm with you there. Definitely with you there. Moving on, more bad news from Sony. Another rumor, but Ben's not here to moderate, so we can talk about whatever the fuck we want. Sony's live service heist game, Fairgame $, has reportedly been canceled. This comes from Twisted Voxel. Sony Interactive Entertainment and Haven Studios' live service PvP heist game, Fairgames, has been canceled, according to a new report. During the latest episode of his show, Pactor Factor, game industry analyst Michael Pactor claimed that Haven Studios' competitive PvP heist game, Fairgames, has been canceled. He talked about Sony Interactive's Entertainment's live service ventures push, calling it a misstep driven by poor leadership. They don't know what they're doing, he remarked, pointing out that while the game industry has enormous revenue in live services, success is largely concentrated amongst established franchises like Fortnite, Apex Legends, and Call of Duty Warzone. Instead of acquiring proven mobile or free-to-play publishers such as Supercell, Zynga, or Niantic, Sony invested on unproven teams, leading to the cancellation of Concord and, as for Pactor, Fairgames. He also brought up the purchase of Bungie, a studio best known for console shooters like Halo and Destiny, for $3.6 billion US dollars. He also believes that Sony Interactive Entertainment further compounded the issue by forcing its traditionally single-player focused studios into making live service titles. And then they turned all their console developers into live service developers, which resulted in Concord being canceled and the studio being shut down, Jade Raymond being let go, and her game being canceled, according to the analyst. This is evidence that the company's strategy is backfiring. He highlighted Nintendo's consistency, mentioning that Sony Interactive Entertainment Studios excel when given the time and resources to deliver prestige titles rather than chasing the live service trend. So once again, this is a story largely about one person's opinion. Granted, it's someone, who's built a decent amount of credibility in this industry, and a rumor / report. But I think he's brought up some pretty interesting points. Brandon, if this is the case, what is your feeling on where Sony goes from here when it comes to its live service venture and strategy?
yeah, I mean, he certainly does bring up a lot of good points. What I will push back on a tiny bit is him saying the live service trend. Um, we're there, man. It's been like this for a while now. I wouldn't say it's something that's going to come and go. I think it's just a new staple of the industry. I wouldn't really consider that a trend. But aside from that, he does bring up some really good points and things we've seen throughout the industry is things like Redfall, not exactly a live service game, but kind of, not a traditional live service. I mean, we get these studios that are not known for producing this type of game, and then we have people up top telling them to produce them because that's what they think is best, and they inevitably fail. So I think it's very telling what he's saying. And we've kind of speculated on Sony's shortcomings in the recent years, and specifically even with this game, we've talked quite a bit around the cancellation of Concord and Fairgame's dollar sign. And I don't think it's going to work. I wouldn't be surprised if within a couple of weeks we see a press release. I really think that Sony needs to kind of reshift its focus and either shit or get off the pot. I think they either need to continue to invest in what makes them money, in what brings them the most. Uh, I want them to focus on what they're good at, or go at it in such a way to what this dude suggested. Get somebody in here who knows the game, right? Who knows the live service industry. And I'm not saying that studios can't shift. Like, at one point, some of the studios that were even mentioned, Fortnite, Apex, Call of Duty, were not the same as they are now. They all had to adapt to that. But just throwing someone who that isn't their expertise into that sort of thing, it doesn't matter how many analysts you get in there to try and persuade them in the right direction. It's a space that's unique, and you almost have to think about the entire development differently, and how you roll out content moving forward. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know where Sony's going to go from here on. We've known that their live service model has been failing and in the shitter. And it seems like this is potentially another tragedy to the entire big push from Sony. Dave, how do you see them moving forward? Um, I can't tell whether I think it would be best for them to cut and dry this whole push, or whether it would be best for them to continue to sink money, because it feels like they've already lost so much money. I don't know that it makes sense for them to continue to beat their head against this free service wall for a potential failure again.
I agree. And I look at this genre, subgenre, whatever you want to call it, and you're right. It's not a trend. It's been here for a while. It's probably going to be here for a long time. It's made billions and billions of dollars, but it seems to have made billions and billions of dollars for very few companies. There are so many more failures in this genre than there have been successes. It's almost kind of like an oligopoly. Like there's just very few that's controlling all of the wealth in this live service genre. So I kind of wonder, like, it almost reminds me of the Xbox 360 days, the PS3 days, the early days of online gaming, where you game where your friends are. And I look at these live service games, and it almost seems to me like, anecdotally, people have a hard time jumping from one live service experience to another. And I think a lot of that is just by design. Once a live service experience gets its tendrils in you, the whole point of its success, how it succeeds, is keeping you in its ecosystem as long as possible, getting you to spend as much time on the game, spending as much money in the game as possible. And if it works well, like it does in Apex or Fortnite or Warzone, then you're not going to leave, and all of your friends are still in that game. So for something new to come along, to pull you out and into it, it's a tough thing to do. And I think that's why there's a small handful of dominant titles in this genre, and so many that have come and gone. And it doesn't matter the names you put behind these games, because you have to have the right people there. So I don't know. I just kind of I pulled together some of the question marks that we've seen from Sony when it comes to this live service thing. So obviously Concord was canceled. We know that. Marathon is missing after they did their open beta, or was it closed beta, whatever it was.
And they got in hot water.
Yeah, that game is nowhere knows where it is. Fairgame, again, we haven't seen anything about it, and now it's being reported as canceled. And then there was a whole bunch of games that were rumored, never announced, but also rumored to have been started development and then canceled. There's like the God of War live service, Twisted Metal stuff.
The Last of Us was supposed to have the multiplayer. I don't know how live service that was going to be, but it was probably going to have some aspect, I would imagine.
Yeah, and then you have Deviation Games being acquired and then shut down, which predictably they were working on something live service too. So whether this is a pivot or Sony is slowly erasing Jim Ryan's legacy, whatever the hell he was working on, because a lot of this stuff goes back like several years, like probably before 2020 that it started. So
Right.
I don't know. I kind of agree with Pactor here that they've just kind of gone in the wrong direction. They're trying to cash in on a quick, again, it's not a trend, but it's not something you can just jump into and make money.
Right.
So I I don't know. I do think they need to look at really acquiring the right people. And I think Bungie was a good step. I think Bungie has what it takes to make a compelling experience and make one that can be long lasting and live. But why don't we focus on Destiny 3? Like that's something
Right.
that's got
Yeah.
it's got an existing user base. That's something that people are ready to, jump back into with some real new compelling content. So I don't know. If I was Sony, I would maybe focus on one or two big projects rather than all of these little things that are just not seeing the light of day and predictably losing a lot of money for the
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
So
Something that's kind of interesting too is you also have like maybe outliers to this whole phenomenon, like something like Warframe. I feel like something that's really popular amongst these live service games too is companies don't really let them breathe. Once they have perceived failure, they kind of hang them up to dry, hang them in the streets, so to speak. Warframe is a game that was made by 200 people, Digital Extremes, and has been doing well for well over 10 years. So I don't want to say that it's impossible to get into this space, but you're absolutely right, Dave. It's a very tricky thing, and it can be done even at a smaller scale success than any of the ones that this gentleman mentioned in this article. Warframe is a renowned success as far as I'm concerned, and is still going. And whenever we see it at things like the Game Awards, they're like, we can't believe we're still doing this, but we are, and they're still putting out stuff for it. So, I think that whenever the dollar signs start flashing, you know how much Fortnite makes, you know how much Warzone makes. The people up top really see opportunity there, and what they need to understand is one that it's not an easy market to break into. There's more failures than success, but also that you have to have a very long-term plan sometimes for these things to breathe and have success unless you have something that's already established. So it's a very tricky thing. And they might be better off just taking the money to the casino at this rate, Sony. Just take whatever budget you have for live service games, put it all on black, and you'll probably have a better chance at making your money back and then some than you would for releasing live service games at this point in their history. So
1,000,000%. I'm with you there. We will revisit the story if it's confirmed that Fairgames is canceled, but still some interesting thoughts on Sony's live service strategy that so far hasn't worked. Do you think Marathon's gone and dead?
I think they've probably put enough behind it that it can't be. And I think people were excited enough about it. I think they had a lot of bad press.
Right.
And they were probably unsure about it to begin with, and that kind of tipped the scale. If I had to guess, and especially with all the heat going on, I wouldn't be surprised if Sony was like, "Hey, be sure." You know what I mean? Like we can't do this again. So,
Yeah. Cool. Moving on. Xbox hints that Xbox cloud gaming will soon become more affordable. This comes from WindowsCentral.com. In the latest Xbox podcast, Xbox platform architect Jason Beaumont and Jason Ronald offer some updates on the future of Xbox hardware, cloud, and more. Today, Microsoft uploaded a new official Xbox podcast show detailing the near and long-term future of the Xbox platform. Microsoft is undergoing something of a transformation with gaming. First-party content has overtaken third-party for revenue, and Xbox Game Pass is reshaping how users engage with the platform. Microsoft has opened up its software to third-party stores more than ever, including PlayStation, and Sony has even reciprocated with Helldivers 2 heading to Xbox in the coming weeks. VP of Next Gen Jason Ronald and VP of Xbox Platform Jason Beaumont caught up with the dashing Mixer alumnus Ethan Rothamel of Xbox's social team to discuss the future of Xbox as we know it. It's the hardest I've ever seen the team working. There's so much going on, says Beaumont. On the console, a lot of what we're working on is under the hood. When we release something that's for PC or for cloud gaming or for mobile, we want that feature to go everywhere. So that's a lot of the investments we're making. Jason mentioned the Xbox Ally and Ally X. We've been working gangbusters to get that released in time for this holiday. VP of Next Gen, Jason Ronald, chimed in. When we think about the future of the Xbox, we think about how we put the player at the center of the experience. The vast majority of players play across multiple devices. There's a bunch of games I would start playing on the Xbox Ally, and now I want full fidelity on my console and my big screen TV. We're focusing on how we evolve the Xbox ecosystem to allow players to play games wherever they want to play them. Into the cloud gaming part, Jason Beaumont hinted that Microsoft is working to expand the availability of Xbox cloud gaming to new countries while spinning up even more servers to meet demand. You're going to see us continue to invest in this area. This includes adding new cloud servers to meet the growing demand. We're also exploring innovative ways to reach more players wherever they are. Our goal is really simple. We want to bring more games to more people. Cloud is great at that. We want to expand Xbox cloud gaming to more countries around the world so people can play games they love no matter where they are. I think this gives some pretty interesting sort of validation into the direction that Microsoft is trying to go with its gaming strategy in the future. We've talked obviously a lot about how, from a hardware perspective, Microsoft has completely fallen off the map this generation, but stuck around with its subscription service and seems to be trying to break barriers when it comes to accessibility. So when you hear this, Brandon, does it make you feel better about the future of cloud gaming?
Yeah, I think maybe not necessarily for the reasons that I wanted. I think it's obviously a self-serving reason that they're doing this, clearly. But with the whole everything's an Xbox, it would make a lot of sense for them to heavily invest in this sort of thing, which ultimately is to the benefit of the consumer. If they can manage to shave down the price tag on this sort of thing, then maybe it would be more persuading to hop into something like this. But as someone who primarily plays on Steam, I don't really want to shell out the money for this sort of thing consistently unless it's for a specific reason. If we had a cost-effective opportunity to play wherever we want, if I did personally, then it certainly would be more enticing. So if we can get a better cloud service, if we can get a more affordable cloud service, then I'm all about it. I think cloud gaming is, whether we like it or not, a large part of the future of gaming. And I don't think there's any going back from that. I really don't. So the fact that they're heavily investing in it, albeit even for a self-serving reason, like trying to push their new agenda that everything is an Xbox and for you to buy into their ecosystem, I think this is a net positive for people who just want to play games, period. I don't think they're necessarily, you know, just saving face here. I think that not only does it benefit them, but it will benefit us.
Agreed. The everything is an Xbox thing is starting to come together in my head. I think they want their ecosystem literally everywhere. So we have
Literally.
cloud gaming. They're coming out with a console next generation. So traditional console gamers like me and you, you're going to have it there. We have Xbox Game Pass on PC. So PC gamers, it's going to be there. Most of the games seem to be coming to PlayStation. So even if you play on a competing piece of hardware, their games are going to be there. It just seems like everything everywhere Microsoft Gaming is going to be. They're really becoming that third party publisher, but not just in terms of putting their games everywhere, but just breaking down the barriers. So you don't need the console. You don't even need any box to play their games. It's just, you just need a subscription. And in theory, I think that's a good thing, but I also think about how there might be some risk to the strategy. The term comes to mind, jack of all trades, but master of none. And in every one of these sectors, there is a leader and there's a dominant leader. PC gaming, it's Steam. Console gaming, it's Sony. Mobile gaming, I'm going to say Switch because I still think that's who you're competing with largely.
It is. It is.
Cloud gaming, maybe they have an opportunity there to really kind of take the lead because I still think that's a technology that's in its infancy. But I like the approach they're going for. And if anybody has the resources to make this work, it's them. But along with money, you need people. It's just like we talked about in the last story about Sony just throwing money at live service and hoping it works. That's not enough. to get things done. And I do worry that Microsoft is going to spread their strategy a little bit too thin, and I think they maybe have an opportunity to kind of grab an early lead in cloud gaming, in the next few years. It's something I want to try, because I think the application has come to either my streaming stick or my TV. It's an LG TV, and I think that'd be a really cool way to game, is just having my Xbox controller sitting on my coffee table. I have my Xbox down here, so if I wanted to play something on my big TV upstairs, literally just grab and stream. So I see the vision, and I'm positive about it. I just hope they put they think slow and act fast with this strategy. So really try to figure this out and understand that there's a way that you can kind of take over this space, but you got to do it smartly. You can't just throw money at it.
Yeah.
So.
I'm still banking on Stadia. You know,
Stadia was the Dreamcast, man. It was too early. It's too early. Our last story of the day, and this is probably going to be a quick one, but we finally have what we all saw coming. The Sony PlayStation 5 will be increasing in price. This comes from, again, the PlayStation blog. PlayStation 5 price changes in the United States. New prices effective starting August 21st. Similar to many global businesses, we continue to navigate challenging economic environment. As a result, we've made the difficult decision to increase the recommended retail price for the PlayStation 5 consoles in the United States starting on August 21st. The updated recommended retail price for the PS5 consoles in the US are as follows. Base PS5, $549 US. Digital edition is $499, and the PS5 Pro is $750. The recommended retail prices for PS5 accessories remain unchanged, and we have no other price changes to announce for additional markets. Seems everybody's doing this. It's just kind of the cool thing to do at the moment, is to make things more expensive because everybody else is doing it, right?
Right.
Doesn't mean much for you and I because we already have this device, and you're doing most of your gaming. Honestly, I think about you as you have evolved into, and I use that term carefully because you've really evolved into a gamer man, Brandon. You used to be a gamer boy.
That's right.
On your stinky PlayStation in your mom's basement, and now you're a full-grown man gaming on your custom-built PC.
That's right.
So you scoff at news like this because it doesn't affect you, but it just makes that route a little bit more attractive, doesn't it?
It really does, and that's it's something that I've said every time there's a price hike, is just save your money. Don't shell out for the Pro. Save your money. Get a PC. I'm not saying you're going to future-proof yourself because there's all kinds of different challenges that come with PC gaming. It isn't a walk in the park. There's some shit that you just don't have to deal with on console that you have to deal with on PC. Like when I had to go into my BIOS and change the secure boot in order to fucking launch Battlefield 6 beta. Like, I never have to worry about that on PlayStation. But to me, the bads greatly outweigh the good. And especially when it comes to this sort of price tag, I have no desire to go back. A very small portion of me, and this is the nostalgic portion of me, kind of wishes I would have bought into the PlayStation 5 Pro before it got the price hike, because I knew this was probably coming. But the reality is I wouldn't even be getting the use out of the machine, and it would be just for old time's sake, more or less. So,
just makes me wonder what we're looking at. We're over $1,000 for next gen, right?
It has to. Yeah, I would say there's no way that we're not getting. I wouldn't be surprised if they came out with a $999. I feel like that might be the push.
Yeah, you gotta drop it like that 1 cent below $1,000. It's so crazy that's just been a custom amongst retailers for so many years. Is just you mark it down that 1 penny, and it just, our stupid consumer brains think it's cheaper than if you just kind of round it up, the tax.
Well, dude, you see the $1,000 price tag. You're like, whoa, whoa, you see 999, you're like, that's like $900. That's not bad.
Yeah, we
Like,
round down.
yeah.
That extra $99, it doesn't
That's not
count.
bad. That's
Yeah,
practically $900.
man, we're dumb. We're so
Yeah,
dumb.
yeah, we are.
That does it for the news stories this week.
Yeah, man.
Now let's jump into what have we been playing. Brandon, you go first, please.
Yeah, so I completed Mafia 2. I've been going real strong. It feels super good to be just banging through these series. I kind of want to keep it up. It's been very, very satisfying. I complained a little bit last week about Mafia 2's remake. It's a very old game. I want to give it some credit, but I really wish there was a little bit more love that was put into it. I don't want to downplay the work that they did do to get it to where it was at, but I found it to be subpar comparatively to the first one being remade. I do know that it was remade sooner than the second one.
Was it the same studio?
No, no, no. So Mafia 2 was handed off to another team. Mafia 1 was remade by Hangar 13, who are
Right.
the Mafia people. And it shows. It shows. I would recommend Mafia 1 to anybody. It plays awesome. There is a little bit of structured jank because it is an old game, but it feels very modern for how absolutely 20 some years old or however old that game is at this point almost. So I completed that. It was great. I will say I think I liked Mafia 1 better than Mafia 2, and I'm like excluding all of the issues I had with the port or the remaster. I think I like the story of Mafia 1 better. Um but and I started Mafia 3 and I'm almost done with that. I'm almost done with that. I wouldn't say I'm going for 100% run, but Mafia 3 came out in 2016, and I did play it at the time. I actually played more than I thought I did, to be honest with you. I'm now well past where I was then, but it
So
has
you
that.
didn't finish it the first time you played it.
No, no, I did
Okay.
not. So I was very eager to go back because I actually did enjoy my time quite a bit with this game. Um, I don't know why I ended up stopping. Uh, Definitely feels like a game that was made in 2016, but I'm actually referring to that in a little bit of an affectionate way. Um, it can be very repetitive at points. It has that whole like gang focus mentality where like you have a map and you have to take over sections of the map to be your gang essentially. A bunch of games like of this time or maybe slightly before this time have that like functionality where your gang spreads throughout the map and changes the color of your shit and stuff like that. But really cool, and really like almost a satisfying collectathon. It doesn't feel overwhelming. I collect these resources and then I go to this box and it opens a small portion of the map and tells me where everything is on the map, and then I go collect that shit, and then I collect resources, and then I go to the next It's been very satisfying, and the story has been good. I think the mocap or whatever they used in this game was really cool. The faces are very animated in a good way, and whenever you're in like the main cutscenes, not the side shit. Whenever you're in the main cutscenes, I think some of the dialogue in the story itself is pretty compelling and interesting as well. So, deals a lot with deep South racism, and I think it's just a cool story and how Lincoln deals with that. So, yeah, really, really, really enjoying Mafia 3, and I knew I would. That's kind of why I was excited to get back to it. But next step is Old Country. That was kind of my idea from the beginning, to kind of go back and try all these out because I was interested in the idea of Old Country and how we talked about how it's a very consumable package. Pause. But but yeah, it's been awesome, man. I've been having a ton of fun playing Mafia 3, and would recommend the first one, and the second one with a little caveat feels a little old, and the third one's great. So.
Nice. It's a really great way to experience a franchise is if you have the time and you have the patience, maybe not patience, but kind of playing through games start to finish. And I'll never forget, like I played through the Mass Effect series as they came out, but then a few years after the third one came out, I played through the Legendary Edition, like from start to finish. And I get, people say Mass Effect 1 hasn't aged well, and Mass Effect 2 is the best in the series, and Mass Effect 3's ending is bullshit. But I like to look at that series of games as one package.
Right.
And I think when you do that, it's kind of like a so much more holistic way to enjoy a franchise.
Absolutely.
And, I had done it with Darksiders, and you just did it with Resident Evil, and you previously did it with Uncharted. So if you can, I think that's a really cool way to get into a series. Big time.
Yeah, absolutely. Would recommend, and they're all usually pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And the stories are just fun mob boss type stories. I mean, if
And
you
the
watch
third
any
one,
mob movie, yeah.
does it take place in Louisiana, or is it like a fake Louisiana?
It's in a like fictionalized
Fictional.
Louisiana, but essentially, yeah.
Cool. Sorry, just need to take a little sip of my beer there.
Oh my god! I
Awesome.
wish I
That's
was
it for
sipping
you?
on some blonde. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm gonna need to wrap this up. What?
That's it for you.
I
Okay,
lost
cool.
my composure, Dave.
Yeah, it happens. I get it as I'm stroking my blonde hair,
Oh my
my
god.
dirty blonde hair.
Oh my god! Stop it, you bastard!
I haven't played much this week. I'm going to talk about another game. Full disclosure, I did assist the publisher in the launch of this game. So take that for what you will in me describing the game. But The Dark Queen of Morthome. This is a game that just came out last Friday on Steam. It was previously released on itch.io. And it kind of developed a pretty viral following. This is a game that did really, really well on itch.io. The publisher Monster Theater Games brought it over to Steam with full controller support, achievements, and just kind of enhanced it in some pretty cool ways. This is a very interesting game. It's $5 US. It's a very short game. I will tell you, you can beat this game with all of the achievements in 30 minutes. And the length is not the point of this game. What this game does is it puts you in a video game experience from a completely different point of view. So what happens is it's a single screen game. You play as the final boss in a game, and the game starts out, and a little NPC who's supposed to be like the character you would normally play in a video game comes into the room, says some motivational thing, tries to attack you, and you kill him in one swipe. But what normally happens in any video game is you respawn and you try again. But again, you're playing from the perspective of the final boss, who in this case is the Dark Queen of Morthome. And this character trying to kill you just keeps coming back. And every time they come, they get a little more stronger, and they're a little bit more difficult to kill. And you kind of swat them to the side for the first few times, but you start to notice that they get new abilities. They start to dash, and every time the character comes back into the room, there's more and more dialogue, and it really takes an interesting perspective of kind of video games in general. And it the developer, his name is Mosu, single guy. He he describes the game as kind of an anti-game, in that it tries to deconstruct what a video game really is. And it's really, really cool. It's fun, it's interesting, it's bite-sized, it's something you can finish really quickly. And it's definitely something worth checking out. So The Dark Queen of Morthome, it just launched last week on Steam. Yeah, $5, but it's a lot of people have really enjoyed it. It sold really, really well. Check out the reviews too, and you'll kind of see how people are enjoying it despite its length and kind of perceived simplicity. But it's a game that we're really excited to be able to work on, because it's such kind of an interesting premise. So definitely think
it.
You bought it? Oh, thanks,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, I literally just bought it.
If you do, play it and
sounds
leave
awesome.
leave a review. And you as a Dark Souls fan would be really interested, because you kind of look like a Dark Souls boss, and you kind of act like a Dark Souls boss. And just kind of the amount of times it takes for like the guy to come back and fight you, it's just like a Dark Souls boss where you die a million times, and you keep learning stuff. So it's kind of interesting to see that from the boss's perspective. So yeah, there was something else I wanted to say about it, but anyways, yeah, Dark Queen of Morthome, definitely think you should check it out. And again, with any indie game on Steam, after you play it, leave a review, leave an honest review, but those really help developers. The other thing is, I've been plugging away at the Sleeping Dogs Platinum. I do think I don't want to say I bit off more than I can chew, but I think I had a lot more that I had to do than I expected, which is okay. I'm still enjoying it. And it's funny, I was watching you play Mafia 3 on stream yesterday, and I was kind of being like, this is a lot like Sleeping Dogs, but like 10 years later.
I loved Sleeping Dogs, man. I think it's a great game.
Yeah, it's fun, and I'm starting to notice though its limitations in terms of I think about the amount of a variety that you get in Grand Theft Auto or a Yakuza game, and like I wish Sleeping Dogs just had a little bit more. It's got its combat system, which is great. It's got its driving, which is fun. It's got karaoke. It's got some hacking mini games, but that's kind of it, you know.
Yeah.
Once you get like, and I'm about 25 hours in to try to get the platinum, it starts to really kind of feel like, you understand maybe why this game didn't catch on in the shadow of a Grand Theft Auto is because you really don't have that much to do. But it's still, a great game. If you haven't played it, the voice acting, the acting, the story, that's really, really good. Simu Liu apparently is supposed to be making a movie of this game, so I really hope that happens. But yeah, hopefully this time next week I'll be talking about earning the platinum or being really, really close, because again, this game deserves it. But yeah,
Good
that's
shit,
it
man.
for me, and that's it for the show.
That's it for the show.
Brandon, we did it. This is the first time you and I have hosted a show together without the other guy, and your computer hasn't exploded on stream. I was
know.
gonna say something
Thank
before,
God.
like at the beginning of the podcast, but I didn't want to jinx it. But I just remembered we got to the end and I didn't have to switch into Twitch mode and just kind of talk to chat.
Yeah.
So thank you to you and your computer. And Radic, I am not hyped for the CNE this year. I don't like the CNE. It's a poor man's wonderland, and you know that. Thank you for joining us. If you're here live or if you're listening not live, we appreciate you. As I mentioned off the top, you can support us on patreon.com/handsomephantom for as little as $1 a month. And you should come and join us at our Discord and hang out and have a good time, because we love having people there. Much love, as Hulk Hogan would say. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.